boom, they've torn your ticket in half. You're in the front row, or the back row if you've got lucky with somebody else, and you're about to see a film. But which of the 6 films that we're recommending will you go for? They're all on Freeview. It's Van Connor. His job, he picks the 3 best films normally. Van Connor, our main man when it comes to matters movie-related. He gives you a guide to the weekend. I match history with 3 of my own. You pays no money, but you takes your choice. So, Van, how's your week been, mate? How are things?
Do you know what? Not bad. I saw a pretty terrible Daisy Ridley film. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. She really needs a new agent. But other than that, it's been pretty good. I can't complain. How's yours been, Paul?
Oh, not too bad. My doctor ripped off one of my nails in the week because the finger was going septic, and he didn't tell me he was going to do it. And he heard a few words. Oh. He heard a few words that he'd not probably heard in his surgery before, before I could regain control of the old pain levels. But no, final apart from that, I'm off to see Gladiator 2 this afternoon, so hopefully that should be a goodie, despite the fact that they've stuck a shark in the Colosseum. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that one. But let's start with your first film, which is not half bad, but a rather dark kind of science fiction time travel film, this one you've chosen.
It really is. So tonight, 9 p.m. on the Horror Channel, I love this movie. I love it exactly as much as I hate it. And I hate it because it's the only reason that I can't claim that Ashton Kutcher is a terrible actor. Like, it's literally the only reason. Every now and again, someone brings Ashton Kutcher up to me. He's terrible, but he did star in The Butterfly Effect, which is one of the best time travel movies ever made. And I'm putting it up there with Time After Time, a bunch of others. There's a long list of great time travel movies, but this is the one in which he's a young man, sort of college age, who has these sort of blackouts that he can't explain. And whenever he comes to, strange things have happened that he can't explain. And as the years go by, he eventually comes to realize that what's actually been happening is he has the ability to travel back in time into his own body when he's younger through the use of a photograph or a home video, something that he can use as a sort of temporal anchor point. You know, sort of project himself back in time. An ability he apparently inherited from his father, played by Callum Keith Rennie from the most recent season, the final season of Star Trek Discovery. It's a great, and you point out, very dark movie. They advertised this was Stained with the what's the song by Stained? The only song that Stained ever recorded that I cannot now remember.
I can't speak to mine, but maybe they'd be very disappointed. And ironically, they weren't from Staines, which is strange.
They were not from Staines. This is very true. But it's a great movie, banging soundtrack as well. Really well shot, and just a really great performance from Ashton Kutcher. Eldon Henson from the Daredevil show that we all know now, he's in there as well. Amy Smart from Road Trip and Starship Troopers, movies like that. She's in there as well. It's a great movie that's really underseen, but I think everyone that sees it falls in love with it. It's on tonight. There's 2 awful direct-to-DVD sequels. Avoid those like the plague. But tonight, 9 p.m. on the Horror Channel, The Butterfly. I've got a clip for you. And this is Ashton Kutcher being told the origin of this ability that he's discovered he has.
There we go.
When he was your age, almost exactly your age, come to think of it, he said he figured out a way to remember his past. I couldn't tell if they were real memories or just his imagination. Then, just before it got so bad, he had to be institutionalized. He said he could...
What? What can he do?
Forget it. It's nothing. He was far too sick by then.
Oh dear. Now, strangely, my first recommendation is also... to an extent, a time travel film, but in a rather different way and from a much earlier period, because today, 4:25 p.m. in the afternoon, Film 4 is showing one of the many versions of A Christmas Carol. It's from 1984. It's not the Michael Caine Muppet Christmas Carol, which is great. It's not the Alistair Sim one from, I think, 1951, 2, 3, along those times. There's a strong link to that, not just the story. It's George C. Scott, General Patton himself. David Warner's in it as Bob Marley. Frank Finley's in it. It was Dr. Finley in the casebook, so always into Casanova, I'd have been by then, for BBC TV. And you've also got Roger Rees, who's done a huge star on Broadway with his Nicholas Nickleby adaptation. They stuck him in. He narrates part of it. And I think this is the best, the most faithful version of A Christmas Carol. Beautiful to look at, directed by Clive Donner, who's an editor on the 1950s version, because it's a made-for-TV film, but made by a British cast and crew, but some American actors in there. George C. Scott is fantastic. Why wouldn't he be? He's a great actor. And he gives you normally Scrooge, I think he was a kind of wizened old man looking like Mr. Magoo. No, he's not. He's hale and hearty and very, because he can get away with saying these outrageous things. David Warner is fantastic. They filmed it in Shrewsbury, which is a very old-style town in Shropshire, so it looks $1 billion. I know it's a little early maybe for Christmas because the Yanks haven't had Thanksgiving yet. That's their lookout. It'll get you in a Crimbo mood. Maybe download it, record it, do whatever you do, and stick it to one side, because if you've never seen this, it's a cracky version of A Christmas Carol. And let's have a taste of Christmas past, present, and future. Here's a bit of the trailer.
It's Christmas, a time for celebration, a time of goodwill to all men. All, that is, except one.
Those of us with means should make some slight provision for the poor and destitute.
Ebenezer Scrooge, a man whose contempt for others,
Mr. Cratchit,
is matched only by his greed and lust for wealth.
Christmas comes but once a year, sir. Poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December.
But Scrooge is about to be taught a lesson he'll never forget.
you will be haunted by three spirits.
I think I'd rather not.
Charles Dickens' immortal tale is brought to life as you've never seen it before.
I think people forget how serious and solemn parts of the story are, and they do it justice in this. I don't know if you remember the bit when the Ghost of Christmas Present visits Scrooge in the book, and Scrooge finally notices there's a starving-looking, in-rags boy and girl under his cloak, and he says, "Who are those children?" And he says, "The boy is ignorance, the girl is want. Beware them both, but beware the boy most of all." That's chilling stuff, isn't it? Great, it's a great short story, Christmas Carol. And what's your second recommendation, please?
A movie that I didn't expect to and wound up really loving from 2009. It's on E4 Saturday night at 25 to 7, 6:35. And it's J.J. Abrams' 2009 reboot. That's simplifying, but reboot / sequel / prequel / alternate timeline venture. And it's simply called Star Trek, which, believe it or not, had never been used as a title for a movie. It's basically an alternate universe version of the Star Trek franchise, in which someone from the Picard era goes back, a bad guy from Picard era goes back in time, kills Kirk's dad, and winds up absolutely Back to the Future 2-ing the Star Trek universe, where he just sets it on a completely alternate trajectory. However, certain things are simply destined to be. And that results in Kirk meeting Spock, meeting McCoy, meeting Scotty, meeting the whole gang, and eventually becoming captain of the Enterprise. However, it's not quite the journey we know. We know the end of the journey. We simply just don't know what happens along the way here. And it's a very new and interesting, very flashy, very Star Wars-like way of doing Star Trek. Funnily enough, J.J. Abrams would go on to then revive the Star Wars franchise 6 years later with The Force Awakens, and he got a lot of flack for this, for a heavy use of lens flare, but it is an absolutely cracking movie, thanks in no small part to Bruce Greenwood as replacing Jeffrey Hunter as Christopher Pike, the previous captain of the Enterprise for Kirk, who becomes a sort of mentor figure here, which he'd never done before. It's a really clever, really just inventive reinvention of the iconic franchise. You must have seen this, I'm sure, the Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto one.
I really enjoyed it, actually, and I thought what was clever about it was it's very interwoven with facts that only Star Trek diehard fans, called Trekkers, not Trekkies, please, if you don't mind, would know.
No more. No.
But you don't miss out on stuff if you don't know that. It's just a brilliant story, well told, because we all know the broad brushstrokes of the Star Trek universe and the story, and it's just, and the relationships are at the heart of all great drama, and they come through. I mean, I think the McCoy-Spock relationship is really brilliantly captured in its kind of its early form in this film.
Absolutely, because what we're getting here is the 60s, the 1960s TV era versions of the characters, but on the big screen. And with McCoy, you get Carl Urban from The Boys, who, he's a legend now. He's a sci-fi fantasy genre legend. You also get Zachary Quinto, who at that point was really only known for being the bad guy in Heroes, as a new, younger, sexier Spock. And you know what? The man delivers. The man understood the assignment. And he even gets, old school, original flavour Spock, Leonard Nimoy himself, in one of his final roles, to turn up as his sort of on-screen mentor. It's a banger. Like I say, E4, Saturday night, 6:35. I've got a clip for you. This is Captain Pike, the former captain of the Enterprise, recruiting a young, very drunken James T. Kirk.
They're boldly going.
Enlist in Starfleet. You guys must be way down on your recruiting quota for the month.
Well, if you're half the man your father was, Jim, Starfleet could use you. You can be an officer in 4 years. You can have your own ship in 8. You understand what the Federation is, don't you? It's important. It's a peacekeeping and humanitarian armada.
We done?
I'm done. Riverside Shipyard. Shuttle for new recruits leaves tomorrow, 0800. Your father was captain of a starship for 12 minutes. He saved 800 lives, including your mother's and yours. I dare you to do better.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to seeing, I've not seen this one for a few years, on my Saturday recommendation, Channel 4. It's a cracker. It's Inglorious Bar Stewards. I'll say that rather carefully, but you know the title, which is a title from an earlier, I think, a 70s war film, and that's, of course, Quentin Tarantino would be aware of. And this is, if it's possible to have a very violent romp through Nazi Germany, then this is it. Because it's basically carry on Second World War with some very pointed references to what happened after the war with Nazi rocket scientists, a bit like Werner von Braun. Yeah. An amazing performance by Christoph Waltz as the most sinister, hideous Nazi officer you can imagine, and kind of start up a big friendship relationship with him and Quentin Tarantino. Brad Pitt is fantastic in this, as he was at around the same time in the film Fury, which is a far more traditional shaped war film. In this he plays a character, Jewish American called Aldo Rain, who puts together a group of absolutely savage, death-dealing, vengeful Jewish American soldiers who are going to strike terror into the hearts of the Nazi German armed forces, as they do, in part because they tend to, if they leave anyone alive, they carve a swastika into their forehead. Because there's a bit at the end of the film, when he says, you know, you guys are going to go back to your life and you'll be moved to some nice, given a new identity, given it, you know, staying in Long Island somewhere or something. But you won't be able to hide the fact you're a Nazi because I'm going to leave this permanent memento on your bonds, basically. So it's a great film in that way. Some great set pieces. It doesn't work as well as, it's not one of the best Tarantino films, but you know, no. But it's still, I say, it's really a romp. So it's Channel 4, 10:20 tomorrow night. And here's a chunk of the trailer when Aldo Rain, the character played by Brad Pitt, based obviously on Aldo Ray, the very gruff-voiced American star and kind of a bit like Tom Sizemore of his day, tells his new recruits what they're going to be doing and who they're going to be doing it to.
10 hot! Eyes forward! My name is Lieutenant Aldo Rain, and I need me 8 soldiers. We're gonna be dropped into France dressed as civilians. We're gonna be doing one thing only. Killing Nazis.
Yes, sir!
Members of the National Socialist Party have conquered Europe through murder, torture, intimidation, and terror. And that's exactly what we're gonna do to them. We will be cruel to the German. And through our cruelty, they will know who we are. They will find the evidence of our cruelty in the disemboweled, dismembered, and disfigured bodies of their brothers we leave behind us. And the German will not be able to help themselves from imagining the cruelty their brothers endured at our hands. And our boot heels. And the edge of our knives.
The relish with which he says that. As an actor, he must have been salivating when he got set that script, don't you think? So my second recommendation, the Saturday film Inglorious Bar Stewards, is on Channel 4, 10:20, tomorrow night, that is. And finally, a Sunday afternoon film, which I think... I think you agree with me on this one. I think it's the best of those Disney half rip-off live-action versions of films they've already made a fortune from, because this was a film before it was a cartoon for Disney, based on the brilliant stories novel by Rudyard Kipling, The Jungle Book, and Mowgli is a live-action Mowgli. The animals aren't, of course, but they're very good CGI. It gives Christopher Walken the chance to be, wow, King Louis, a gigantic orangutan. You've got, it's just a great... Idris Elba is the voice of Shere Khan. Mm-hmm. Which, once you get the notion that it's got to be a very posh George Sanders Shere Khan out of your head, that's great. Bill Murray's in it as Baloo the Bear, which is almost typecast. It's a great film. This live action, 3:15, Sunday afternoon. I mean, you know... In a non-footballing international break week, this is a family. This is a must. If you didn't see this at the pictures, then fill your boots now because it's a lovely film. There's some of the others have been almost shot. I mean, the Beauty and the Beast one, I thought I won't be too my daughters to see it because they love the original cartoon, and they're not animated films; they're cartoons. But it was almost a shot-for-shot recreation. I'm thinking, well, why bother? Well, this one it did give it a whole new facet for me, a whole new dimension, and it is, you know, it's bad news is there are no singing beetle-like vultures. But the good news is, it's a great film, this one. 3:15, Sunday afternoon, it's The Jungle Book. he's the king of the swingers.
If you can't learn to run with the pack, one of these days you'll be someone's dinner.
I can't help but notice there's this strange odor today. Man is forbidden! Run, Mowgli!
The jungle is no longer safe for you.
But this is my home.
Only man can protect you now.
Poor, sweet little cub. What are you doing so deep in the jungle?
You are a man cub who wants to live in a jungle.
How do you know that?
Kid, I got ears. My ears got ears. Only I can protect you.
And Carl the Snake is voiced by Scarlett Johansson. In the original Disney cartoon, it was Lance Sterling. He was also the voice of a snake in the Robin Hood cartoon. He was typecast as a snake, and he was the voice of Winnie the Pooh for Walt Disney. But Scarlett, it's a great film, that one, a great Sunday afternoon film. And where are you taking this for your Sunday recommendation, please, Van?
I mean, I'll be really honest. I'm trying to think of the things that Scarlett Johansson couldn't talk me into if she was using hypnosis. But I will.
Is that what you kids are calling it these days? Hypnosis? Oh, right. Okay.
I do find ScarJo absolutely hypnotic, even in snake form, it has to be said. Or the less said about Ghost in the Shell and her attempts to play Japanese, the better. But 2011, I'm taking you to 2011 on Saturday night. So film 4, it's not Saturday night, Sunday night. Film 4, 9 p.m. This is the perfect one, I think, to close out your Sunday night with. This should have been the third installment of the Cornetto trilogy, in my mind. So, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, this. Instead, we got The World's End, the Be Here Now of film trilogies. This is instead, this is instead Paul, directed by Greg Mottola, 2011, features, again, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost from, Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead. Here they are two sci-fi nerds on a road trip from Comic-Con in San Diego to Area 51, along which route they pick up a Roswell Grey, effectively, an old school, Roswell level grey alien named Paul, voiced and performed by Seth Rogen, as well as an indoctrinated right-wing, a very devout Christian played by Kristen Wiig, who sort of comes along for the ride. And they're pursued by government agents led by Joe Lo Truglio and Jason Bateman. So Joe Lo Truglio from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Jason Bateman from Arrested Development, Horrible Bosses. Great fun, this film. Chock full of sci-fi references, loads of little Easter eggs, loads of little nods and asides to both classic sci-fi B movies of the 50s and 60s, but also your Spielberg, Roland Emmerich stuff of the late 20th century as well. Really, really good fun, but of course, all peppered with just that Seth Rogen personality and a bit of that Simon Pegg, Nick Frost charm as well. It's a really fun movie. I'm sure you must love this.
Like this.
It's going to be right up your alley.
A good film, and I agree with you at the end of the world. I think Hot Fuzz is a really underrated comedy. I think Hot Fuzz is a great comedy.
Yeah, I think Hot Fuzz is arguably a stronger film than Shaun of the Dead. It's just that Shaun of the Dead is funnier. So,
any film that ends with James Bond impaled on a church in a model village at Beaconsfield has got to be a good film. Timothy Dalton, I think it goes to his eye or something. It's hideous at the end of the film.
Hey, all I'm going to say is Leslie Tiller was murdered, and I'll let you fill in the blanks on the rest of that quote. But I'm going to leave you with Paul, a clip from Paul. This is on Film 4, so Sunday night, 9 o'clock. This is Paul the alien meeting his two human sci-fi writer road trip companions.
Are you an alien?
To you I am, yes.
Are you going to probe us?
Why does everyone always assume that? What am I doing? Am I harvesting farts? How much can I learn from an ass?
What?
I'm sorry.
What's your name?
It's Graham Willie.
And what's his name?
That's the writer, Clive Gollings.
Okay, cool. I'm Paul.
Paul?
Yeah, it's a nickname that stuck. My ship crashed on a... Dog, it doesn't matter. Look, can we get the writer Clive Gollings back on the RV and get the hell out of here, please?
I can't get...
I'm in a hell of a pickle. And if you don't help me, I could die on this road tonight.
I don't know, we're on quite a tight schedule.
Look, man, sometimes you just gotta roll the dice. What do you say?
Great mingling of British and American comic sensibilities there, I think. So, off-screen drops later on today, I'm presuming, or am I assuming too much?
No, we are actually taking a week off this week. Because of my long-standing beef with Paramount, I will not be covering Gladiator 2, and that's kind of diggy this week. So, and I'm not leading with a Daisy Ridley movie, so I'm going to come back next week, and I'm going to review Gladiator then, alongside Wicked, because apparently we're calling it #Glicked. Gladiator and Wicked open on the same day in the US next Friday. So it's apparently, like Barbenheimer, we now have Glicked. I'm going to cover Glicked next week instead.
Looking forward to that, and looking forward to speaking to Van Connor once again. 6 Freeview film recommendations between us for your consideration. You pays no money, as I always say, but you makes your choice, and we're live till 5. Cheers, Van.